let's go ahead. Let's get into the rest of our show here, and let's bring up all the matchups that we didn't get to hang out with you guys for. And here it is. Scotty, one of my best bets of the week was this Raiders-Rams matchup. You had, I mean, this couldn't have lined itself up for a better matchup for the Raiders. You had the bad Rams team who have been cycling through quarterbacks like it's nobody's business. They bring in Baker Mayfield, who has absolutely been abysmal in Carolina. Baker Mayfield, says Football Wife. Yeah, he's been absolutely atrocious as a quarterback. I mean, it's not even close. And they bring him in. He doesn't have that much time to learn this playbook. And this game, let me just, can I just go ahead and just recap what happened in this game at the end of this one?
Do it.
Baker doesn't know the playbook. All right, this is my rant because I had, by the way, in case you don't know, in case you missed it, on Wednesday, my best bet was Raiders -6. The Rams have a 4th and 1, down 16-3. Raiders are up 16-3 with 3:56. No timeouts on the 2-yard line of the Raiders in the fourth quarter of this game. 16-3. Score a touchdown. All right, fine. Touchdown, down. The Rams are down 16-10. Raiders can't convert on a 3rd one. Punt goes to the 3-yard line. Baker needs to go 97 yards. A new quarterback in a system for the Rams has to go, bad quarterback, has to go 97 yards. 3rd and 1, comes up here, throws a pick, offensive pass interference. 1:30 left on the clock at this point. 1st down and 10 on their own 22. Sack. Oh, but wait, there's an unsportsmanlike conduct for knocking the ball out of the quarterback's hand on this one. What the hell are we calling here? That's just like, what are we doing? 15-yard penalty on that one. Extends this drive. Unbelievable. Insane catch on the right-hand sideline. It was a miraculous catch for Baker to throw the ball up the right-hand side. Then there was a screen pass up the middle, brings up 2nd and 1 with 36 seconds left on the 31 of the Las Vegas Raiders. Catch up the middle of the field, spike with 15 seconds left. And then there's a touchdown in the end zone to put this one up 17-16. So within the last 3 minutes and 56 seconds, this game was blown by the Raiders, and they were up 16-3 in the 4th. Scotty, what are we doing?
I mean, the Raiders only scoring 16 is kind of embarrassing. They were out it was 10-0 within they scored a touchdown, I think, on their first drive of the game. They looked great. I didn't actually watch this game. Honestly, I saw the score and I'm like, 10-0, very early. Raiders are gonna roll like we thought.
Why you have to be mad?
Why you have to be so mad, Chris? But with 15 seconds or whatever left, and the Rams having no timeouts at the 20 whatever yard line of the Raiders, and for the Raiders to play press coverage on that play is wild to me. You drop, you play zone, you let someone get in front of you, you keep them in bounds. It's very, very simple for the Raiders, and they did not have. I mean, the defensive coordinator should be fired on the spot for the Raiders based off the call they had on playing press coverage. Even Baker after the game was like, I was surprised they were playing press. I don't know why they were doing that.
When Baker's calling you out,
yeah, it's not a great situation. So, shocker here, the Raiders fucked themselves, and the Rams and Baker, did you see him headbutt a helmet on his team? A teammate's helmet? It's Baker, chill out, man.
Yeah. Calm down. This is the first time you've had a decent game. Give Baker credit, though. He comes in, he does what he has to do. I mean, we give Baker a lot of shit for being a shit quarterback because he is, but he came in and he learned what he could of the playbook, and he was able to, under this offense, lead a drive to win this game. And, if you were to ask me, did the Raiders lose this game or the Rams win it? I say the Raiders lost this game.
Mm-hmm. Yep. No doubt. The Raiders definitely lost this game.
I mean, they gave this back. They gave this away. And it was just so disappointing from, a lot of standpoint. I mean, Scotty, I was rooting for the Raiders for once in my life. Just once. I was sitting on the sideline of a Raiders game Thursday night, like, please, just play some defense. Please, just convert. Please. Oh, my goodness.
I'm heartbroken, Chris, because I'm in a wins pool where I have 4 teams, and I literally have the Eagles and Chiefs. So I'm like on top of the world, right? And then I have the Raiders, and then I have the Texans. And it's just I could have gone 4-0 this week. All 4 teams were winning with less than a minute to go, and I went 2-2 instead because the Raiders and Texans hate themselves.
It's just
they hate themselves.
The Raiders, they're just a mess, and McDaniels is most likely getting fired at the end of the year. And
I think McDaniels is back.
Do you?
I don't know why. I wouldn't.
The Raiders,
but I think he is.
The Raiders fans on Twitter are calling for his head like 4 weeks ago, 5 weeks ago, and it's not gotten any better. It's not gotten
this was almost like a 3-game winning streak, which would have been like, all right, we're turning a corner or whatever. For whatever reason, I feel like McDaniels is back with the Raiders next year.
That was the case. I felt like before this week. Then you lose to Baker Mayfield coming to the Rams or a bad team, and you lose to this one. This is kind of like that Broncos lost to the Panthers, even though the Panthers are now looking competitive.
Panthers are a better team.
Panthers are semi-competitive now.
Better team.
What's up, Phoenix? How we doing? Not even a Chargers fan, but he's all about Herbert, baby. Chargers still have a long way to go. Let's just put it that way. But yeah, no, he played well today. Chairman, that was a dumb penalty to commit at that point in the game, knocking the ball out of the hands penalty. It's just
cost him the game.
Oh my goodness. Saw the final drive. Once the punter was going nuts, you knew they were gonna lose. What's up, Rec? How we doing? Y'all convinced me to start card fantasy, you asshats. I
don't remember that conversation.
I don't remember that either, but we might have. I don't think so. This is the second time he headbutted teammates' helmets. Chairman Richard Sherman torched the DC after the game report repeatedly. What else? Raiders LOL more like robbed. G girl just not feeling it. McDaniels is back because Davis is too poor to hire him. Going back to the reports of some of those reports that came out.
Ain't no money.
No, ain't no cash, homie. Please know the Raiders are more fun when they choke in the playoffs, says Casually. Well, that too, but I mean they're just choking in the regular season. They're not even gonna make the playoffs. Chairman, you have to give Baker credit though. He made the throws. Yeah, totally. Yeah, we're giving Baker credit. We're giving him some love. I mean, he's not good, but I mean, he's not the future of any franchise out there. So there's that. Chef Baker glanced at the cookbook.
He's the present.
Not this year, but speaking of General San, yeah. So there you go, Scotty. Anything else on this one? I mean, both these teams, Raiders, are still in the hunt, but it doesn't feel like they're going to be.
They could have been. They could have been right in the mix, and then they fucked themselves. The Raiders are out. Rams are clearly out. Congrats. I've never disliked Baker as a person. I know he's a little eccentric and much at times, but for me, he's never bothered me. So I'm a little happy for him. Congrats. Get a meaningless win on Thursday night against the Raiders. Trying to keep your career alive. Baker's gonna be a well-paid backup, right? That feels like where this is heading. He's gonna be a backup quarterback for a team. He's gonna be a well-paid backup, for backup standards at least. So
yeah,
he'll be fine. He'll be fine.
That's a ceiling for her, for sure. For Baker, maybe injuries happen.
Oh, he's a backup. He's a backup.
He's on the trash core. But you definitely wouldn't say anything when you have Mahomes. Says Phoenix.
No, I'm not saying he's great, but he's a backup. Are you telling me that there aren't like half of the clubs in the league that wouldn't take Baker as a backup QB? I disagree with that.
Yeah,
Maybe you don't. Talent wise, you would. Maybe you don't because like he's like a story outside of that, and it distracts, especially with a backup QB. But that's not his fault.
no.
He was the number 1 overall pick in the draft. It didn't work out, and now he's trying to figure it out.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Next up, Ravens and Steelers. Ravens end up getting.
Let's go, Rec.
Sorry, Rec. Broncos would take Baker as a starter. Well, not after Russ finally looking okay this week. Russ, don't. No. We'll talk about that in a minute. But let's talk about your boys here, Rec. Steelers, Ravens. Steelers end up edging out the Ravens end up edging out the Steelers here in this one. KP doesn't get concussed. We win, says Devil Doc. KP mids as McDuggets. Mr. Don't expect Mitch to come in and throw 3 picks. Didn't expect him to come in and throw 3 picks. But Scotty, Ravens, Steelers. I'm going to take a quick code yellow to get through the rest of these matchups, but go ahead and get us started.
I mean, everyone guaranteeing. Like, Mitch Trubisky came in and went 22 of 30 for 276 yards. He did throw 3 picks. Understood. But that was like in situations where he was kind of desperate a little bit. I mean, it's not like Kenny Pickett. I mean, Kenny Pickett didn't do much. He dropped back twice. He threw an incomplete pass and then got sacked and was in concussion protocol. But let's not pretend like Kenny Pickett is like someone that's like, oh, clearly if we had Kenny Pickett, we would have won this game. I don't know. Maybe. But by the way, you were also facing Tyler Huntley, a backup quarterback, in your hometown, in your home stadium, and weren't able to get it done. I had, and Chris had, we both had the Ravens in a teaser. So we teased them up to 8.5. Turns out we didn't need to do that. They won outright. Reckoning. Pickett is still a starting caliber QB and hasn't thrown a pick in a month. Starting caliber, sure. Winning caliber, no. But starting caliber, sure. This was what I thought. That's why I wanted to tease it up. This is always a close game. This one turned out to be close. The under would have looked good in this one, and I don't think it would have been demonstrably different with Kenny Pickett at the helm, quite frankly. This one, honestly, the Ravens were dominating the first half. I then kind of had to head to the stadium. I missed a lot of the second half, to be honest. But in the first half, the Ravens were the far superior team. They had like a 4th and short that they, Hunley basically like didn't ever collect the snap, so they basically fumbled it and like lost it. They were lucky to be that close at the time. I don't know what fully happened in the second half of this game since I was headed into mine with the Chiefs and Broncos, but the first half was dominated by the Ravens.
Tucker, by the way, one of the best kickers in football, finished with 10 points to push his career total over 1,473 points, breaking the franchise scoring record held by former kicker Matt Stover. Remember Matt Stover? Oh man, miss Matt Stover.
I do.
Oh man, it was classic, man. He was there forever too. They've had a couple long-term kickers there that in that franchise. It's crazy. Arenas, hey, welcome back, Arenas. It's been what do you have here? It's been a minute since I could watch live. Excited to catch a stream. I love that energy right there.
Let's go.
Coming in strong with that. Trubisky lost them this game, in my opinion, says G Girl. Let's see.
McNuggets, do we really need to use starter caliber as a gauge? Remember, Daniel Jones is still a starter. Yeah, starter caliber is a weird flex, but Daniel Jones. Well, no, Daniel Jones makes sense, but there's probably worse out there than Daniel Jones.
Let's see. Devil Doc. Why can't he be winning caliber? They won 3 of 4 before that. So I think he's doing something right.
Yeah, but where are they scoring those games? It's just like, and I've been there, guys. And this is gonna sound arrogant. I've been there. You convince yourself. Like, oh, we're winning games with this quarterback 20-17. He's so good. It's just, you're just lying to yourself. It's delaying, like when you play a good football team, you're gonna just get your shit kicked in. It's fake. It's not real. It's I'll deliver more on this Chiefs Broncos sadness that I experienced today with Bronco fans, but in general, it's just like, yeah, you won games, but you can all see what we see. Like Pickett is not, to me, and Pickett, to be clear, is 2 years younger, I believe, than Patrick Mahomes. 2 years younger. He's not going to ever be it. He might not be bad. He might be starting caliber. He might be he might creep up to like top 15 caliber, but he's never, ever, 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 ever going to be like top 7-8 caliber. There's no chance. No chance.
Hey, what's going on, Hauser? How we doing, my friend? Thank you for the 5 months. Appreciate that. Hey, Hype Train is close. Gift a sub or sub to the channel, gift some bits or do some whatever you want. You can do anything you want. And we can try to get a Hype Train rolling here. Appreciate that love. Thank you for the support. Thank you for everyone who's been giving bits and supporting the channel through subs or anything else. Thank you so much. Appreciate that. Woo, says Uranus. Welcome back, Uranus. So, all right, next up. Let me go back in real quick, by the way. Next up for these teams, Ravens travel to Cleveland next Saturday, face the Browns. Baltimore won the first meeting between the teams 23-20 on October 23rd. Steelers visit Carolina next Sunday. By the way, Carolina's all of a sudden playing like competitive football randomly.
Very much so.
I mean, like all of a sudden they're just like, and we heard some things with Carolina of throwing games and this and that or tanking.
Sam Darnold is now a starting caliber quarterback.
Pittsburgh has won each of its last 6 meetings with the Panthers. We'll see if they keep that rolling as well. Speaking of, we got the Panthers and the Seahawks. And like I said, Panthers and Seahawks are a team or a matchup that we didn't expect to go this direction here in this one. But Seahawks drop one here. And, I mean, the Carolina Panthers came out 10-0 in the first quarter and they just kind of kept pouring it on. I mean, it was 20-14 at halftime. Didn't score in the third quarter, but wrapped it up with 10 points in the fourth to close this one out. Seattle tried to claw their way back in this one, but just couldn't figure it out. When you only score 10 points in the second half, it's not going to get you there, especially when you've dug yourself a hole that big. So, but, I mean, from this game, it's just Sam Darnold, 120 yards, 14-24, 1 touchdown, nothing special. Geno Smith, 264 yards, 3 touchdowns, 2 interceptions in this one. And, I mean, the Seattle rushing was non-existent in this one. 46 total yards. So they didn't do it on the ground. They couldn't get anything rolling here at home. So this is a home game for them. And Travis Homer was the number one because they've been just absolutely just killed by injuries at the running back position. So didn't really have anything to lean on for the rushing game. But on the other side, Carolina rushing just went crazy. 2 players, 74 yards each between Foreman and Hubbard. They were able to crush. And, I mean, they got it done. Panthers win this one. 5-8. Seattle drops to 7-6.
Listen, like, the difference here was some bad turnovers from Seattle that set up Carolina. Carolina gets the first possession. Long drive, decently long drive, kicks a field goal, and then gets it right back and gets a touchdown on a 13-yard drive. Later on, they get a pick again from Geno Smith that they get a field goal on after only like 20 yards. So the difference in this one was the turnover battle. And Carolina didn't turn it over, and Seattle did twice, and that was the end of the story. So Seattle the better team? Would they win more games on paper? Of course. but they blew it in this one, and they only have themselves to blame, quite frankly.
Hauser's like, this game makes no sense. You're right. I mean, it's a no one expected this. By the way, bright spot for Seattle in this one in the loss. Tyler Lockett now has a receiving touchdown in 6 straight games, the longest streak in Seahawks history. The only other ones that have this title are Doug Baldwin 2015, Joey Galloway in 1998, and Steve Largent 1984. So, I mean,
it's a lot of people. You should probably just score next week, so it's not tied.
Maybe just score and just get that off. Just limit that number of players that you're sharing that title with. But yeah, kind of a crazy one. Let's see. Did you just compare his age to Patrick Mahomes' age? Just checking.
Sure did,
Chairman.
Sure did, Chairman. Sure did. That's what you compare everyone to. It's just kind of how it works. I know you love when I mention Mahomes out of nowhere. Devil Doc, our offense as a whole is young and growing. Experience pains. Look at our losses, 5 L's in the Cleveland game. Would have, if not the last second TD on the laterals. We're in every game except Buffalo and Philadelphia. And that's fine. Devil Doc, like, yeah, you're growing your offense. I just don't see like an upside that's like crazy good with Kenny Pickett. That's just not what I see. I could be wrong. I just don't think your offense is all of a sudden just with Kenny Pickett going to explode at some point. I think Kenny Pickett was a reach. I think Kenny Pickett's, it
was a reach on draft day for sure.
That's what I meant. Yeah. I mean, he was taking the first round. Only quarterback taking the first round, and no one was really. And then, like, we sat till the 3rd round for other QBs to take. So they probably could have got him the 2nd round. Maybe not, but even still, like, he's not it for me. I could be wrong.
Speaking of quarterbacks from that draft, I'm really excited to see what Desmond Ridder has. We saw flashes in the preseason, and I'm kind of curious to see now that he's starting for Atlanta what he can do, because I think he could be a high ceiling player for Atlanta. Just I don't know. It's just my gut feeling. Cleveland winning hashtag Deshaun season. I wouldn't bet on that, McNuggets. But you could whatever you think.
Deshaun has scored 1 offensive touchdown in 2 games, so that's got to be good.
It's rough.
It's gonna be great.
Jared Goff is doing very well. LOL says G Girl. Gino might finally come down to earth, says Rec. What else? Was really praying for Gino 9. I got put out of my fantasy football playoffs by 0.57 points, says TP Poker. I want to throw up. That's brutal. I hate when that happens. It's just like, I mean, I feel you. I've been there too. Yeah. Falcons making the playoffs this year. I mean, what's weird is like
NFC South is wide open.
It's wide open because nobody wants to win it. It's crazy.
No one wants it.
It's kind of a strange situation to be in. But
Rack, who's ready for 8 and 9 Tom Brady to win the Super Bowl? I'll shoot myself. I will shoot myself. But I've said this here. I've said it before. I'm like, feels like they'll just win the division for no reason at all because the division sucks, and then they'll be very, very difficult to beat in the postseason for whatever reason.
Next up for the Panthers, we know already that Carolina hosts Pittsburgh next Sunday. Seahawks host San Francisco on Thursday night coming up here on the short week. So, I mean, San Francisco's looking good with Purdy. We'll talk about Purdy here in a little bit. You guys have been blowing up on Purdy quite a bit early on in the stream, so we'll touch on some Purdy here. Browns and Bengals. Sky, this was one of your bets of the week, and you mentioned Deshaun Watson only throwing 1 touchdown in the last 2 weeks. And if I were to tell you Deshaun Watson's throwing 1 touchdown in 2 weeks, you'd probably say that the Browns aren't doing so hot. Well, they're not. They lost. They got blown out. This was one of your best bets of the week, Scotty, and it looked good for you. The Bengals are kind of hitting, you got the win against the Chiefs. Obviously, that's a big win. And then you got the win against they're playing some good football down the stretch here, going at the right time of the year. Scotty, so far right now, Bengals Looking all right. 23-10 win over the Browns, but we didn't expect much from the Browns realistically. Anytime the Browns lose, it's a good day.
I bet this game, and I was so confused by the line of this game. Wildly confused. And then today, I bet it on our stream at -6. And then today it was at -4. And I'm like,
what are the Browns doing?
What?
To close the gap here.
What? Am I the only person that's witnessed how bad offensively the Browns are worse off this right now? Not long term necessarily. I'm not saying that. And this has nothing to do with Deshaun Watson as a person. Right now, the Browns are a worse football team with Deshaun Watson than they were with Jacoby Brissett offensively. I'll say that right now. It's not hard to say. It's true.
It's true.
And that's not to say that, he got better today. He had, there were numbers, but, they were meaningless numbers. They don't score points. They have a lot of wasted, sad, ridiculously bad drives. He had picks. He's not ready for this. And Cleveland is just in disaster mode now because now they're stuck with this dude that's not actually that good. They
sold
could
their
be
soul.
just as good with. I'm not kidding when I say they could be just as good. Based off what we've seen with Jacoby Brissett, and quite frankly, they would have put up more than 10 points with Brissett this week. And what's wild about this game is they had a 4th and 1 early on in the game that they went for, and they brought Brissett in for. If you love your quarterback so much, why are you bringing in another quarterback in for a 4th and 1? It's not like he ran. No, he threw it. It was incomplete. They turned it over on downs, but you paid so much money for a quarterback, and then you're gonna have Brissett come in for a 4th and 1 early on in the game. That's super weird to me. Super weird.
Yeah, it's just I just think that this is exactly what we should have expected from Deshaun Watson coming back from being off for so long, all the distractions, all the drama, this wasn't a small little deal. This was a big time deal with courts and national news and everything else. You should expect him to struggle a little bit out the gates. But Jacoby Brissett played well though. And it just feels bad for Jacoby Brissett. If there's one guy you feel bad for who was playing and keeping them in games, and he was competitive. They lost a bunch of games, but they were competitive in a bunch of games. So,
Phoenix, calm down, but also he's under extreme pressure physically and mentally due to his life. I assume you're talking about Deshaun right now.
Oh no,
he's still. Oh no. Someone else?
Oh, I think no. He was referring to. I think TP Poker was talking about some.
What quarterback are we talking about right now?
TP Poker was saying how Giselle and Tom and Giselle was selfish and let him play football, and there was.
All right, I missed that because for a second I thought Phoenix was trying to say that Deshaun Watson was one of the best quarterbacks in history. For a second. Obviously that's not the case. So Phoenix, sorry.
I missed some of the other I didn't catch up to all the chat, but saying something about Giselle and this and that. I didn't really see the whole comment, so I missed it. But Brissett played well all season. My quarterback now. Watson played well. Yeah. What's up, Seven Sly? How we doing? Let's be honest, you guys. The Browns were going to sweep
just well enough to finally get a touchdown.
Weren't going to sweep the Bengals. No. But all I can say though is the Bengals. They're playing some good ball here towards the latter end of the season.
I actually don't think they played well today.
They're getting the wins when they need them, right?
They helped me out, but one of their touchdowns was like a flea flicker, it was kind of a trick play, worked out, got him a TD, but I don't think the Bengals were hyped for this game. I don't think they played very well in this game, especially offensively. And defensively, it's pretty easy to guard this guy that just holds that football in between his while he's on his knees.
I mean, you got what 136 yards on the ground, 96 by Joe Mixon. Joe Burrow, 2 touchdowns, 1 interception, 239 yards. I mean,
football wife. I'm just saying they won and they did what they had to do. I just think they're better. I think they're better than how they played today. I don't think they played anywhere near their best today. That's all I'm saying.
That's all. To be honest, you don't need to play your best against the Browns to still get wins.
Right. I'm not hating on the Bengals. They did what they had to do. They just didn't. I just don't think they played very well today.
Let's see. I mean, look at the Chiefs today. We'll get to the Chiefs game.
Yeah, guys.
Scotty,
Chiefs were up 27-0 and then shit the bed.
Scotty
got it.
Scotty criticizing a team for scoring a trickery like he isn't a Chiefs fan. I mean,
the Chiefs don't score on trickery, so I don't know what that is.
Scotty's always going to be salty about the Bengals. So
I'm not. Guys, everyone's missing this point.
Yeah.
Do you each one of you that's giving me hate right now, do you think the Bengals played well today?
Well, and the
Bengals did not play well today. They won a game that they should have, and they took care of business, but they didn't play well.
Yeah. I mean, they won by 13 and they didn't play well. That's kind of a good thing in a sense.
I'm saying they're better than how they played today, and you guys are getting mad at me about it.
They played well enough, I guess, as Mr. Rufus being funny about it.
They're better than the version we saw today. And people are like, no, how dare you hate the Bengals? I'm not hating the Bengals. I'm saying they're better than how they played today. That's what I'm saying.
Legit. We'll get to this Bronco game. Fred Cuban's like, the Bronco felt like a W because they were actually trying until the end. It was a good show. We'll get to that. It probably would have been a better game than tonight's game. But Bengals played fine. Higgins was out.
Boyd was out. Oh, it's not like the Chiefs have wide receivers out, so it's fine. It's fine.
Cool. We'll get to that game here in a little bit, though. But Texans and Cowboys. You want to talk about a game?
Chris, I can't say bad things about the Cowboys because people will just roast me for saying, "Hey, but they won." Like I'm afraid to talk bad about a team that won a game.
I mean, the Cowboys did not play well today, and Chris, they're elite. They were great. This one,
they're phenomenal.
Mediocre team.
They won. They were awesome.
Bro, hey, can I say something, awesome. Scotty?
Their uniforms are great.
Wait.
Yeah.
They won this game, and they did not play as good as they could have. Scotty.
No, you can't say that, Chris. That's literally the worst thing.
No, Cowboys looked terrible in this one. And this one, the Texans, a 1-11 team, 1-11-1. Let's just say they put it to the Cowboys. The Texans were up at halftime 20-17, and it took another late comeback. Ezekiel Elliott with a late clutch touchdown to finish out this drive, get in the end zone to put the Cowboys over the hump here in this one. But Cowboys fans, if you're honest with yourself, you were terrified about losing to a 1-10-1 team.
Everyone right now that's like, no, it's different. The Cowboys against the Texans. The Texans are terrible. The Browns-Bengals is so different. Let me remind you, those two teams played last week. There was only one team in that game that scored an offensive touchdown, and it was the Texans. The Browns won that game against the Texans last week with 2 defensive touchdowns.
It was weird.
On picks and a special teams touchdown. Okay? They did not score a touchdown at all. And by the way, the Texans went back to their better quarterback this week. So Mills is worlds better than the guy they were playing last week. So don't come at me and tell me that the Texans versus Browns right now are that different. They're not that different. They're not that different. Okay? I'm sorry. Both teams aren't good. The offense for the Browns is trash. I don't know why people are so upset that I'm giving a compliment to the Bengals. They won a game. They covered a game without playing very well. They didn't play their best.
I mean,
I've seen the Bengals play better. That's all I'm saying. And people are so like upset about it.
Anytime.
You know who played like shit today? The Cowboys. Cowboys played like garbage today. And they won a game and they escaped. They escaped. No doubt about it. But like the whole like hate on like this Bengals comment I have is weird to me. It's super weird. I am saying the Bengals are better than they played today. And anyone who wants to argue that, I will argue for years on that. Does anyone think the Bengals played that well today?
And
especially offensively?
Well, and
I mean,
you know, and
help me out.
Well, and everyone is. Boyd's out, Higgins is out. Troy Hendricks was playing with a broken wrist, and yeah,
cool.
Totally
two of the 4 wide receivers that for the Chiefs, we didn't have Tony, Kadarius Toney. We didn't have
even take
Hartman.
Even take
we don't have pieces.
Even take the Chiefs out of it. Don't even mention the Chiefs. Just in general, if my team is down 3 or 4 players and you still win the game 23-10 and knowing that they could have, you know, they still have a ceiling higher than that, I feel good about my team if I'm the 23-10 winner. Like, I mean, that's just me personally. Like, if you're able to scrap out wins with all those injuries and you're able to scrap out wins playing not the best football and you still win by 13 and you say, yeah, we didn't play the best game, but, you know, I think that's a win in my book. I mean, I'll take that all day, every day. I mean,
right. Pro Bowl wide receivers, and he says Tony. I'm not talking Pro Bowl wide receivers, but by the way, I don't think either of those guys have made a Pro Bowl that were out for the Bengals today. Maybe Higgins has, but I would doubt it.
Don't be clowning on Mr. Unlimited, Phoenix.
My quarterback.
It's just,
but
this is so weird. Somehow we're in a battle where I don't think we should be in a battle, Chris. I'm on the same side of these people, and they're just mad. I don't know what they're mad about. I don't know what they're mad about.
No, it's good. I'm good.
Sorry that I expect more from the Bengals than they had today.
I'm
sorry.
Hey,
I'm sorry, Bengals fans.
This is what we love debating.
I didn't know this
sports.
whole football wife, Scotty, we aren't mad. I think some people are mad. You aren't football wife, and you're a Bengals fan, so thank you. I'm not hating on the Bengals. I'm just saying they didn't play their best today. That's all. And they still won, and they won convincingly. So that's a compliment.
Cupid Betty, what do you mean these people?
These people. Yeah, these people are the worst.
No.
Find each and every one of them.
What do you mean these people? But let's get back to this one, though. I'm offended. Excuse me. Everyone's offended. These people. 27. What are we doing?
I do need a hug, but there's a way to do that in the chat. No one ever gives me hugs in the chat, Chris. It's usually just you.
These peasants. No. These people. No, man, we love y'all. We love the debates.
Someone need a hug.
Scott gives football wife gives Scott a hug. See, you get a hug.
Thanks.
That's so
wife.
Nice. But no, we love the debates, guys. Keep those coming. We love it. Yep. That's what makes sports. That's what makes this channel, and that's what makes sports fun. Is the fact that we can debate back and forth and get excited about it and have some fun with it. So
yeah. And Seven Sly says the Bengals should be 11-2, but they're not lucky. Yeah, and the Chiefs should be. Chiefs probably shouldn't lose a game ever. While we're at it, we should be that way too.
I'll drink to that. I might need another drink the way this stream is going. 27-23.
I'm definitely going to need another drink.
27-23 here in this one. But Cowboys, Dak doesn't look great in this one. 2 interceptions to this defense of the Texans, but 284 yards, 1 touchdown. Zeke with a touchdown that put him over the edge. Pollard had a touchdown as well. But outside of that, I mean, you know, throwing the ball, Pollard also had a touchdown through the air receiving. But, Davis Mills and Driscoll both kind of shared duties. Mainly Davis Mills was the big contributor here. Driscoll threw for 6 attempts and only completed 4 for a touchdown. He scored more touchdowns than starting Davis Mills. So there you go. So that long ass neck. There you go. Football wife. You're not. Yeah. The more you know. But yeah, this game. If you looked at the final score and you didn't watch this one, the context of this game is completely out of whack because this was a terrifying game. If you're a Dallas Cowboys fan, you're just like, how do we survive that? By the way, Tony Pollard's breakout season continues. The Cowboys running back notched his first career touchdown.
It's not breakout. But I'm going to do a code yellow while you keep talking, Chris.
First career game with one rushing and receiving touchdown, giving him 12 touchdowns in the season. Entering the year, Pollard had scored 11 touchdowns in his career. He has 12 through 14 weeks. So he is doing some things and showing why he is the better running back in Dallas at the moment. And all that money they paid to Zeke, let's just say, that's why you don't pay running backs nowadays. There's only a handful of running backs that need to get paid. And Zeke got his payday, and he's not even the best running back on his own team. Let's just put it like it is. So Pollard's having a great year. He's making it well known that he is the guy, and Dallas is looking at Zeke like we just got to feed him a touchdown every other game so that it feels better that we're paying him as much as we are to do what he's doing. So yeah, there you go. AKA Dalvin Cook. I mean, what? Who said that? I mean, yeah. Don't pay. Can we have let's just have a real quick heart to heart here. If you're an NFL franchise, let's not overpay running backs because that position, only a handful, maybe a few at the most, are actually worth the price of admission. Let's just put it out there. The more you know. It's not a good investment. It's not a good investment. And I don't care. That's not a running back isn't going to get you over the hump. We've seen that. How many of you guys drafted running backs for your fantasy teams thinking they were going to be workhorses and they've kind of just shit the bed? Like, it's just not a position that you need to overpay if you're an NFL franchise. Just saying it like it is. Pollard is killing it this year. Let's see. I'd overpay Chubb. Chubb, maybe. I mean, he's not still in the top echelon of like the Saquons and Travis Henry's. But then, even Saquons and Travis Henry's, they have their moments where they're hurt. They have they missed the season last year. They're coming back, and thankfully they're having great seasons coming back. So I'll take that. But I mean, what happens when you get down in a game against a team that throws the ball as much as they do, like the Chiefs, Dolphins. I could say the Dolphins, but they didn't show up tonight. The Eagles. Then you take your running back that you paid all that money to, and you can't give him the ball anymore because you can't get back in the game. It's just, that's not the way. This isn't the 90s anymore. The league isn't a running league like it used to be, and it's changed. So let's just put it like it is. Anyways, I digress. Well,
you're still talking about this game?
I just went off on like a whole. I went off on a running back rant about Ezekiel Elliott getting paid all this money, and he's not even the best running back on his team, and this and that. And
you don't ever pay a running back.
And that's what. And we just went. I just did like the more you know.
That's literally less controversial than me saying the Bengals didn't play that well today.
Speaking of high-paid running backs that couldn't be effective at the end of a game, it's Travis Henry, who the Titans dug themselves massive hole in this game, and kind of you got to abandon the run game, right? This is what I was just talking about. You can't pay guys that or my bad. I keep saying Travis Henry. Why do I keep saying Travis?
He has a lot of kids, and he was a running back at the time.
That's like back-to-back weeks I've said Travis Henry. Derrick Henry, my bad. You know what I mean. Derrick Henry rushed for over 100 yards in the first half of the 7th time in his career. Remind me, first half. Didn't do that in the second half because they were behind by 1 million. That's tied for 6th most all time. Adrian Peterson leads with 11. He's also the third time he has done it against the Jags. He is a beast. He's a beast. I get it.
Yeah, no, Derrick Henry, 17 carries, 121 yards, and a touchdown today. Congratulations. And your team got your shit kicked in. So
by the Jags.
Oh, the rushing yards of the other team, the leader was 17 carries for 32 yards for Travis Etienne. Literally, that's hard to do. 17 carries for 32 yards is less than 2 yards a carry. And guess which team won by a lot? The team that didn't run the ball well. Okay? Chris, that's a point for you.
That's a
point for, us in general as hey, maybe
don't
Russian
overspend.
Football isn't that important.
Don't overspend.
Maybe
on running backs.
I mean, and this was Trevor Lawrence's best game of his career, by the way. Trevor Lawrence balled. 368 yards and 3 touchdowns against a good defense on the road. Evan Ingram was what everyone thought he was going to be when he was drafted in the first round as a tight end with the Giants. Sorry, G-Girl, if you're still here, but, he finally had, that moment. I don't know. I was on the Jags on this one, so felt pretty good.
It felt
Chris.
good. This was one of your best bets of the week. You had Jags +4, and they
+4.
They were
won
getting
by 2
points,
touchdowns.
and they blew them out. Titans fading fast. They just doesn't feel good for them. This is a team that needs a change, and maybe next year is the year they switch over to their young quarterback that they drafted, and they kind of get off the whole Tannehill, bandwagon here, and just try to see what they got in the young kid. I mean, you have to, right?
No, they're not going to move off this year. Tannehill's
not this year. I'm just saying, moving forward next year, Tannehill's not going to be the guy next year. He shouldn't be.
Well, he's not the guy ever.
But you need to move off of him and see what you got in your kid.
Yeah, Malik Willis.
So we'll see. But yeah, this one again is it's pretty much that the more you know with don't overpay a running back. It's just right here. This is let me just see who these teams have coming up next on their schedules.
Rex says Willis is too raw, in my opinion. I agree. That's why you guys were so smart in Pittsburgh to draft a elderly quarterback in the first round.
Next, Jags have Dallas here. They return home to host Dallas, and Tennessee visits the Chargers in that one. Ooh. So that'll be. I mean, I hope Tennessee can play the Chargers strong. You obviously don't want to see the Chargers in the playoffs, so you hope they lose that game.
Yeah. Devil, listen, we made sure he had his AARP card out of college, Scotty. Yeah, that was a smart call with taking a first round pick on a guy that wasn't good until his senior year in college. And Kenny Pickett.
Let's see.
Smart Devil.
Casually, I needed an emergency tight end. Gambit finally paid off this week. What else? Listen.
Did you have Evan?
Gambit finally paid off.
Evan Ingram.
Gamble, I should say. Finally paid off. I think he said Gambit. Listen, we made sure he had his ARP. Yeah, I think Scotty hates Pickett since Pickett beats him all on the old person games.
Okay. I mean,
it's Mr. Smallhand, Scotty.
Either way, if he's playing me in old person games, he's just old.
D Boston. I waited on the whole San Diego Chargers team back in the day when LT Thompson was LaDainian Tomlinson. Is that what you're saying? Was playing?
I think he's talking about LT.
LaDainian Tomlinson. Yeah, I think that's what you were saying. Yeah. I mean, LT was good. Get ready for Desmond Ritter season starting next week. Hauser, I'm excited to see. I'm really curious to see what he's got. I'll be watching.
Ritter threw some dimes.
I'll be
in the
watching
preseason.
that game closer than I'd watch any other Atlanta games for sure. But yeah, I mean, I'm excited.
Without a lot of tape, and maybe I'll regret this, but give me Ritter over everyone's favorite Kenny Pickett. And by everyone, I mean Rec and Devil Doc. But give me Ritter. Honestly,
it was a playoff game against the Patriots. I don't know why I just brought that up, but I'm not a Chargers fan. Fair enough, D Boston. That's fair. But yeah.
No one is a Chargers fan, by the way.
Respect the small hand, says Rick.
I will try. I respect, with that little of a hand, him making the league in general and tricking a franchise to pick him in the first round.
Yeah.
It was unfortunately your franchise. Rack. So
all right, guys. Today's win was Patrick Mahomes' 28th career game with 300 pass yards, 3 touchdowns, tying Dan Marino for the most such games by a player before the age of 30 in NFL history, including the playoffs. Mahomes turned 27 this September. Just to put that in perspective. So Mahomes did some good things here. Chiefs hold on to win in Mile High here over my Broncos. They've won now 14 straight. I know, Scotty, you don't have to say it. I'm going to say it for you. They have won 14 straight.
14 straight,
over the Broncos, matching the Patriots matching the Patriots and the Jets is a current similar one against another team, one team against another team. So over each other. So that's just just put it like it is. It's a fact, right? He's now 10-0 against the Broncos. He's the 4th quarterback in Super Bowl era to record 10+ wins against a single opponent without a loss. And I'm just lighting this up for you, Scotty. I'm just giving you all the props because this is kind of what I have to deal with every single time I talk to you about this matchup. And it's not even close at this point. But was I hopeful at this point at some level that all these streaks would be broken? Yes. There was a point in this game. And Rec, ! Socials. If you guys don't know how I watch Bronco games, click on my TikTok of how I watch Bronco games, and you will see the end of my TikTok on what ends up happening at the end of these games where it's like, we might have a chance to win this. And then you get sadly disappointed. It's every single week. It happens. But, Scotty, you were at this game. On the other side, some things to be in an abysmal season happy about. Jerry Jeudy's the first Bronco player with 3 receiving touchdowns in a game. He actually showed some fire for the first time I've seen all season. You know what? It's refreshing to see fire from somebody on this roster or the coaching staff or the front office, because nobody but Jerry Jeudy has been showing fire at all. It's been absolutely terrible, but Jerry Jeudy won some points in my book today, Scotty. I know you've been down on him. You haven't been a big fan of Jerry Jeudy, but come on, man. I'm just saying. He did some things today that I was like, I was pretty impressed with. Josie Jewell, 4th player with multiple interceptions against Patrick Mahomes, including the playoffs, and the first to do it in the same game. Mahomes, 3 interceptions today, matches his career high. So the Broncos defense, given the fact that they gave up 34 to the Chiefs, played this one closer than people thought. The Broncos had a chance, if they were competent on offense, to potentially go and win this game late. Go up in this game late by 1 point if they were to just get downfield and score a touchdown. They couldn't do that. Scotty, you know me. I'm a Broncos fan till I die, but I'm a realist. I know where we're at. I know the situation we're in. I acknowledge that. You sound like you've heard some things from Broncos fans downtown that you were kind of, we're in, in a spot. But, this game was a more competitive game and more exciting, in my opinion, than what we saw tonight for Sunday Night Football. And we didn't expect that from a Broncos team that's 3-9 against the Chiefs team that's leading the division.
3-10.
3-10.
Here's the thing, Chris. Here's what made me sad. Is literally Broncos could have won if Russ didn't get hurt. They were right there at the goal line. No, they
No.
scored a touchdown on that drive. They were never near the goal line after that, and they scored a touchdown on that goal line drive. G girl. I guess we're just in the industry. If you're Broncos fans, is like, one of those. What's it called, Chris? When you lose, but you feel okay about it. What's that called? It's embarrassing, Chris. What I witnessed today at your stadium was embarrassing. Your team, all your fans prior to the game were like, "We're gonna get destroyed." Blah 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 blah. Moral victory, of course.
Apathy. Yeah.
And then it's 27-0 in the first half. It's ugly. This is not a good sign for the Broncos. The Broncos do this against the Chiefs every time. This is why I bet the Broncos plus 9.5. The Broncos always play the Chiefs close, and it's irrelevant, by the way. But I've never seen so many people just like take a moral victory, take we didn't lose by that many today, at least. Like, it's so sad. It's so sad. Why have you become a poverty franchise where you take out like, hey, at least we didn't win or didn't lose by that many? It's embarrassing. Chris, I felt bad when we were up 27-0. I was like, this is ugly. And then obviously they got a little closer. And everyone was nice. No one said anything to me. I didn't talk to people, whatever. It was fine at the game. But like, I would never, ever, ever, as a fan, want to just be like, hey, I'm so happy. I'm so happy that we were able to, and the whole idea of Russ was in, we would have won is
Russ
absurd. His best play was like a screenplay. Neat. And by the way, if they would have scored, Mahomes would have scored after. Mahomes was awful after they got up 20. I mean, he was awful.
Let's go. Well, let's do what we said earlier. The Chiefs won a game that they played. They could have been better.
For sure.
The Chiefs could have been the better team today.
Mahomes was terrible. 3 picks in situations where there was just no need that kept the Broncos in the game.
Yeah. No, I mean, there was a lot of bad situations that the Chiefs put themselves in throughout the course of this game. The Broncos defense has been good all season long, and they've been able to prove that they could keep their offense in the game. This is the first time I've seen 28 on the scoreboard. So and here's the thing: you go back to the moral victories, right? You're doing that look because you're like, oh, you're falling to the moral victory.
I read G Girls, and I'm confused.
I thought you were talking about my moral victories, but
no, you're good.
Let's just put it like it is. If I'm being honest as a Broncos fan, even if we score and we go up 1, there's still an enormous amount of time for a guy like Patrick Mahomes to come back and win that game. So do I think we win that game even if we had Russ, even if we score at all? I don't think it's a sure thing or a lock. Do I think that it gives us a better opportunity? Sure, I get that. But with this game, my fire comes from a guy like Jerry Jeudy, who, again, he surprised me in this one, where it's like, he's the only, nobody else. Russ isn't showing that fire. The coaching staff isn't showing that fire. Our offensive, anything, nothing. It's nice to see a little bit of that in a season that you need to have some sort of fire because you're playing like trash all season long. This Broncos team has been absolutely abysmal, and I've been waiting for weeks for the coaching staff to anybody to just actually say something like, oh, we need to be better. No, it goes deeper than that. This team has had success in the past, and they've 3 Super Bowls. They've had historically, they've been competitive. This is the longest stretch that we've been this bad. We got second and third string quarterbacks in the league that are like lighting up the scoreboards better than this Broncos team. All I can say is, I mean, I'm on a small coming in hot segment here, Scotty, and I didn't even know I was doing it. But if we win this game, it doesn't change how bad we are. It doesn't. We're still trash. But at least our defense looks good, and I'm not going to fall into the complacency of what you were hearing at this. At least we lost a close game. That's loser talk. It's all loser talk. Those are bandwagon fans in Denver that think, moral victories don't count for shit. Just saying that. All right. Absolute.
I mean, Giro said, I would be more embarrassed as a Chiefs fan than a Broncos fan in this game. So just to be clear, the Chiefs go on the road, beat the Broncos for the 14th straight time. And you'd be more embarrassed to be a Chiefs fan than a Broncos fan? I literally cannot compute that. I cannot compute. And that's the mentality the Broncos fans have. We're like, we were close. We're building. And Diacola, like, yeah, we had answers. Honestly, the Chiefs defense played pretty damn bad today. To a horrible team. Who cares? Why would you be more excited about cheering for the horrible team then? G-Girl. Why would you? They were up 27-0, which was 1 point less than your team lost by today. By the way, I love you, G-Girl. Your team lost by 28, I think. I just don't understand that mentality. I don't understand. To a horrible team. Salty. Neat. Who cares? Who cares? It was a 9.5 point spread. It wasn't like it was supposed to be a 30-point game. The Broncos don't lose blowouts like this. The Broncos got some weird touchdowns. It's fine. Kelsey, honestly, I think Kelsey's affected by altitude.
He doesn't play. Well, I mean, for a team that gives up as many points to tight ends as we do, I mean, he does get a lot of points to us.
He looks gassed. Every time I've watched him in Denver, he looks gassed all the time.
Real quick here, I want to get to the chat. The Goat King. Thoughts on the Niners game? We'll get to that in a second. We have a lot to say about the Niners. I'm curious. I have a lot of interesting thoughts on the Niners. Don't go anywhere. I have a feeling a Niners fan. You West Coast or are you here? Let's see. Also, Absolute Boy, I agree. I think he was agreeing to what I was saying a little bit earlier about the Broncos. Absolute Boy, where are you from and who's your team? Like to get to know you a little bit as well. Reckoning to me, the fact that the Broncos went on a 28-7 run and tried to come back is the moral victory. It's something to build off for future seasons. But
it's definitely not, by the way.
Well,
it's definitely not.
I think
there's the Broncos are always close with the Chiefs and they lose every time. And no, it's not a building block. It's just not. I'm sorry. It's just not.
And Diacola says, and I love you, Diacola, obviously. Obviously, yeah. I love you. Mm-hmm. We didn't win, but they showed they can put up points. Did we though? This is the one game that we've been able to put up points, and and
there was like a screen pass that went for like 80 yards,
and that was a breakdown of the Chiefs defense. I have more to say about so the Chiefs defense has been susceptible to some big plays, whether that was the Bengals, whether that was the Broncos, whether that was I have more questions about the secondary of the Chiefs than I do of any other part of their team. But outside of that,
the defense has been bad. Like, it's frustrating that the Cleveland Browns can shut down the Bengals offense today, and we couldn't even think about doing that. The defense for the Chiefs is not in a good place right now. Not even close.
That's something to keep an eye on going into the playoffs when you have some prolific, whether it's NFC or AFC teams. Let's say the Chiefs make it to the Super Bowl. You got to watch out. You put a team like Philadelphia out there, and the Chiefs. We're getting ahead of ourselves.
That would be in the Super Bowl. I wouldn't be that upset. Let's just make the Super Bowl and see what happens.
There you go. But I just saying, Broncos. Did they compete today? Yes. Did they keep it close? Yes. But that doesn't mean anything for this season. They still have a lot to work out for the quarterback position. I was almost about to send a tweet out and also a Discord message out to our community saying, you know what? What are the chances we don't play the second half? What are the chances we bench Russ in the second half? What are the chances? And sure enough, things changed very quickly. And I kept watching that game, but that's the mentality. Like that mentality is not a long-term mentality for this team of how I see us progressing forward. There's a lot of big-time things that need to take place for this to be turned around, and I don't see any easy ways to do it. Kelsey now has 81 receiving yards on 117 targets, 1,029 receiving yards, 12 touchdowns. He and Juju carrying the offense. Juju second, 82 targets, 61. Like
I said though, well, we're gonna get an upgrade soon and very soon at the wide receiver position when McCole Hardman's been out for like 5 or 6 weeks, and Kadarius Toney was close to playing this week. He'll play next week, like especially in the red zone. Those are the two guys in the red zone, like where we do some like different things that helps their speed, especially McCole Hardman, where we're struggling at times.
PS2 interception was sweet. Same with Jules. Jules had 2 interceptions today, which were, I love what Jules brings to our defense. There were some bright spots, but again, in the grand scheme of things, bright spots don't tell the whole story when it comes to just one game. So when do you
G-Girl, Tony is not reliable. That's true, but he's all I'm saying, he's gonna play next week. Maybe he'll get hurt again, I don't know, but he's gonna play next week.
But Scotty, to all those Bronco fans out there that were saying, at least we kept it close.
It's just sad.
Stop it.
It's just a little sad.
Stop it. That if that's what the mentality of our Bronco fan base is, it's we're in a bad place, because you have to think about it from a different standpoint, and that's loser.
They've adjusted just having loser mentality and like moral victories.
You will see me wearing this Bronco jersey as a true Bronco fan and understanding. I'm going to give it to you straight, like a real Bronco fan's going to, whether we're good or bad. Scotty, I'm not going to not throw this jersey on after a loss here in Denver. So I'm going to give it straight. It's loser talk is what it is. Listen, Chris, coaching is everything. Coaching is a big deal, and that's why we're going to fire our coach at the end of this season. The fact that it didn't happen after the Carolina game kind of shocks me, but that means we're going to make it through the rest of the season. Not to seem like a prick, but what should the Broncos' mentality be after this game?
Mad that you lost to a division rival. Rec, would you take a moral victory? Did you take a moral victory today, losing to the Ravens? Like, I just never want to be in that place. And when the Chiefs were losing left and right to the Broncos, I never took a moral victory. I was furious every time they lost to the Chiefs or to the Broncos. I was furious,
and that's the mentality.
I don't get the mentality. Like, oh, and quite frankly, like, was it close? Yes, at the end, I guess, but like the Broncos were never in the lead in this game and never threatening to be in the lead in this game.
They needed to make a drive.
They were like 80 yards away.
They were 80 yards away
from threatening.
Yeah. Broncos need to sign a quarterback. Russ may be out for a while. You did mention Russ. We didn't mention Russ got knocked out. He was knocked out cold, by the way. He was knocked out. He was asleep on the field. So he will be out for a little bit. Brett Rippon will come in and probably play next week, which, again, is kind of where we're at. Moral victories for the minor league coaches. Jay-Z. That's true. You're not wrong. No, but the whole season I've been looking for improvements for this team. It's a young team, so they got to get better. Happy, of course. I want to win every game, but improvements mean everything. And again, there are some bright spots at this Broncos. The defensive coordinator is going to be potentially a candidate for taking over this team as a head coach, which, I mean, having a defensive-minded coach, I don't know how I feel about that, but is he a good coach and a young, good mind that's turned this defense into a top 3 defense in the NFL? Yes. So I'll take it. On to the next one though. We're getting late. Russ plus healthy Sutton, Judy can potentially. I don't know if Russ is the guy. I don't know if Russ is the guy.
The word lethal is not what you mean there.
Russ. I don't.
You can have the worst coaching staff in the world, but and still play out better than what's happened.
I mean, Baker Mayfield had flashes in this Thursday night game. That doesn't mean he's the guy. I mean,
Chris, in full disclosure, the Broncos are fucked for the next few years. They just are.
Well,
they just are.
All right. The only thing that I can think of is you just eat fucking 100 and something million and just eat it. Eat it. No,
that's not gonna happen.
That's the absolute worst case scenario. But it's the fact that I thought about that at halftime. I was like, that's on the table. It's got to be on the table. It's got to be a thought. And the fact that that's a thought means we're in a bad place, but it's a thought to get out of this thing because it's so bad. When you are averaging 13 points a game, that's historic since, by the way, the Chiefs did it in like 2008 or something.
Well, it's not the Chiefs.
It was said on the broadcast. It was the Chiefs. It was maybe I got the year wrong.
It was not the Chiefs.
The Chiefs were one of the worst offenses at a certain point. Okay. I don't know what it was, but I mean, if the broadcast is wrong.
Yeah. No, I don't know. I was watching it in person, so I don't know what they said.
Either way, to say
everyone is so high on your offense moving forward. Cool. We'll see what happens, guys. Sorry, coughing. Yeah, no, they'll be fine once they get a new head coach. Russell will be great. Judy's awesome. Sutton's so good with his 1 touchdown catch this year. Like everyone's elite.
G-Girl, the thing to say rest of the guy. So if that's the case, we're saying that every single issue with the Broncos offense, we're saying that it's 100% or 99% the coaching staff and not Russ. And I don't know if I can say that. I can't say that. Because then that's taking Russ. I mean, that's really not giving Russ credit. That's taking Russ completely out of the equation, saying he's just a puppet and he doesn't have a say and doesn't have a voice and it's just all. I mean,
Chris, real quick. How many point difference do you think the best coach in the league versus the worst coach in the league makes in the NFL?
How many does that account for on a Vegas spread?
Like the best coach in the league versus the worst coach in the league. What do you think that accounts for? Because I promise you,
it's 5, maybe.
Yeah, I mean that's probably at the peak. 5 is probably at the peak.
I would say maybe 5. If I'm just taking a blind guess.
And that's the best versus the worst. So maybe let's say the Broncos are the worst. Fine. You're not getting the best next year. So maybe you improve by 2 or 3 points. Like it doesn't happen. As a Giants fan, we sucked bad coaches and make everyone bad. You change that coaching staff, you'll be shocked. I'm telling you. So G-Girl.
I think there's
G-Girl.
I
love you, G-Girl.
True,
but you have won. The Giants aren't appreciably better than they were last year. They've won more games because they've won close games. I'm just being honest. The Giants are a below average team in my mind. Still, with this new coaching staff. So they've gone from bad to below average.
Let's see. Belichick might be available next year. I'll take Belichick. I mean, if he'll help us win games. It's a massive improvement, says Rec. Hey, people are defending the Broncos, and I appreciate y'all defending the Broncos.
Fighting real hard.
As a Broncos fan, though.
Have you guys watched Russell Wilson? By the way,
as a Broncos fan here, Russ can't be. Do we have some talented pieces here on defense, on offense? Yeah, here and there we have some pieces. I get it, but and we have to move on. So after this, we're moving on. But there's a lot of work that needs to be done here in Denver, and we're not close to. I mean, even though we competed today against the Chiefs, I still didn't have. Even when it was a 1-score game at the end of this and we had 80 yards to go down the field, I had zero confidence that we were able to do that. That's just being realistic as a Broncos fan. That means that we have some issues. And that means I don't trust our coaching staff or our quarterback to get us down the field. And that doesn't change. That doesn't change unless we make some changes.
Diacola, everyone is below average except the Chiefs. That's not true at all. Not even close. I mean, there's a lot of teams above average. Close to half. In the AFC.
But we got to move on. We got to move on. I know that was a fun one between us, Scotty, today, but Vikings and Lions here. Lions. This is a crazy one considering the Vikings. We've said this a couple times, and we've mentioned this in the chat earlier. Are the Lions for real? And what does that mean? I think Chairman posed that question, and we were like, "What does for real mean?" And then are the Vikings frauds? And the Vikings, let's just say we don't have them as a top 3 team in the NFC. They're probably, the 4th or 5th best team in the NFC at this point. You got the Cowboys, the Niners, and the Eagles ahead of them. And then it's arguable because, I mean,
NFC's not very good, so they might fall in the 4th.
So
based off that, but
with this game, the Lions ended up putting a nice little game together against this Vikings team. The Lions were favored in this game, believe it or not. You figure a team that's only lost 2 games in the Vikings coming into this one was like, oh, taking care of the Lions, but not in this case. They end up losing this one 23-34 and drop this matchup. But yeah, the Vikings are a weird team. I think this is kind of one of those games where it tells me more about who the Vikings are, or maybe more so the Vikings aren't, than anything else. Minnesota Vikings have allowed 464 total yards against the Detroit Lions. It's the 5th straight game the Vikings defense have allowed at least 400 yards in a game, their longest streak in franchise history. So their defense is not holding anybody down.
Yeah, I think these two teams are actually weirdly similar. Like, I think they're offensively much better than they are on the defensive end. We talked about Jameson Williams not yet playing for the Lions. And the Lions are going to be fascinating. Do you draft a quarterback? We talked about this earlier on. Do you draft a quarterback, or do you hang with Goff, who's played for the most part pretty well, but obviously there's another team and a smart coach that bailed on Goff. So, like, I would probably try and draft a quarterback, use your other pick. You need a lot of help on defense. I mean, the Detroit Lions defense is not cutting it. I mean, Kirk Cousins in a loss today threw for like 425 yards. Actually, it was exactly 425 yards. So it was not, the Lions defense is not where it needs to be. But they're competitive now. They're a real football team, at least. And what they do at the quarterback position in the offseason is going to be fascinating. But moving forward, if they instead try and go with like a Will Anderson, the defensive end from Alabama, to pair with the guy they just drafted out of Michigan this past year, that could help that defense a lot. So it'll be interesting to see what the Lions do in the offseason. But I said it. I said the Lions are like an 8-9 team to me. They're right on track for that. They're playing well. They could even be better than that based off of what's happening right now. So credit to the Lions. The Vikings, I don't know. The Vikings are kind of, I mean, they're minus point differential and they're 10-3. They're a perfectly fine team, but they're not a great team. And they're not a team that they're going to have to get very, very fortunate to move on in the playoffs round to round, in my mind. Their defense is bad.
Penny Penny, by the way, also had like a first down to close out the game, which was like, a pass out to like the big boy on the side. And it was kind of fun to watch there. Vikings showing who they really are with this game, says Boofus. Totally. Kirk played great regardless of the loss. Defense is trash right now, says Phoenix. Yeah, it's true. I mean, if you've given up that many points, it's hard to stay in games. So let's see. If you draft a quarterback, who do you draft this year? I would rather trade or hit the free agency, says Boofus.
Well, and it sounds like the Texans at 1 are going to take Bryce Young. So that's what I've heard. I think Bryce Young at 1 is like close to a sure thing. So then you're looking at, and I'm not saying that's the right pick necessarily. I haven't judged, evaluated everyone enough, but that's what I've heard is that Bryce Young will be the Houston Texans quarterback and will be drafted number 1 overall.
Let's see. Who do you think the Lions draft the QB? Young won't be available, so do you go Stroud, or does someone go above them and they reach for Levi's or Richardson?
Richardson not in round 1. You might be able to actually get him in round 2. Stroud.
I'm gonna go grab another beverage while you're talking about that.
Stroud's a gamble, obviously. He's had some great moments at Ohio State and some not so great moments. So I don't know, but it's just such a weird situation because I think the Lions next year are going to have a better record than they do this year. And by the way, this pick that they have early on is not even theirs. It's the Rams. So they're not going to have another opportunity after this year to draft a quarterback that's elite like they do this year. So you're either ride or die with Goff, which maybe that's what they choose to do, or you have to take a quarterback. It's fascinating to me. I don't know if there's a perfectly right answer to that. I just don't think. Well, I don't know. Maybe Goff's good enough. Goff made a Super Bowl. Keep in mind, Goff went to a Super Bowl as the starting quarterback for the Rams. So clearly, he's capable of at least getting to that point because he did it. Obviously, he didn't play well in that Super Bowl at all, but it's going to be fascinating to see what the Lions do. What do we got here? Who do the Broncos draft at QB with the 49ers pick? I don't think they take QB there. Maybe like a Richardson in the late first. But you're taking anytime you're taking a quarterback in the late first round, it's a wild card. It's just as much of a wild card as it almost in like the second or third or even fourth round. Like
we can't draft quarterbacks in the top 15.
Big time wild card.
Jets Bills here. Let's move on to this one. This was low scoring affair here. The Bills pull out a division win against the Jets. It's a little snowy game. Yeah, some crazy touchdowns in this one. One of which was kind of just throwing your body on the line with I can't remember the tight end for Knox coming in for a big touchdown in this one. But other than that, this game kind of underwhelming for the Bills. I mean, obviously the Bills are a top team in the AFC, but they've kind of shown that they're maybe not trending that direction as of late. They've maybe struggled against some teams that they shouldn't be. But either way, McDuggan says sign the Buffalo is overrated. I don't know if they're overrated. They're still good. But I think the Von Miller loss was big. That was a big piece of their defense that they were going to be able to get a lot of pressure. And I think that's going to be a bigger loss than what people were, expecting from this one. But do I still think they're a good team? Sure. They did it against a team led by Mike White and the Jets. Only put up 12 points. But, I mean, this is kind of what we thought. This is what I thought. A low-scoring game. Bills come out on top.
I'm terrified to say this, Chris, because I might get crucified in the chat. But the Bills went out, won a game, didn't play that well.
They didn't play as good as they could have. as good
they
as
didn't play. I mean, Josh Allen had like less than 150 yards passing in this game.
Von Miller.
So
He's on
Von
Twitch right
Miller's
now.
done.
He's recovering on Twitch.
They basically had 2 long drives that they got a touchdown, and then 2 field goal drives that were like 20 yards each after great field position. So the offense for the Bills, I mean, this game was close to being 0-0 at halftime, Chris. It was 0-0 for a very long time before the Bills did score a touchdown very late in the first half, where I was just like, maybe it'll just be 0-0 at halftime. They scored with 26 seconds to go in the first half to make points at all, and it was a touchdown. So Bills won a game in division against a Jets team that is, getting better, but still, like, no one thinks the Jets are a real threat, and the Bills didn't play great at home, frankly, especially offensively.
Rex says, honestly, I think Allen's elbow is a major issue. Even if it's not Tommy John, he needs to rest it. They're not winning a Super Bowl, maybe not even a playoff game with Allen's injury that he's trying to play through. I think that there is something there. I think he's battling through something, but I mean, he's still, I don't know.
I don't know if it's full Tommy John where you have to, like, is he affecting his future by playing now? Part of me thinks maybe not. So, like, see what happens. You're right. He's not playing as well. Maybe they won't make a run, but either way, you're not better off with whoever's behind him by any means. So,
yeah, Jets are another team who's a fraud. I mean, the Jets. The both New York teams are kind of a team. They're kind of teams that got out to fast starts that, eventually we expected to come back down to earth, and that's what's happening here. So no big surprise there. He's pulling a Baker. Yeah, maybe. I don't know. But next up, San Francisco, and I know you guys have been itching to talk about this one. I know we've had a few people popping in the chat trying to talk about this one. Niners put it to Tom Brady. Anytime you see Tom Brady struggle, it's always kind of, it's nice to see. But here we go. Purdy coming in and putting it to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. And by the way, Christian McCaffrey had a great game for the first time in a while. I mean, he's been able to actually thrive a little bit more. They've been using him a little bit more. 11th career game with both rushing and receiving touchdown, tying Jim Brown for 4th most all time. Only players with more are Marshall Faulk, Lenny Moore, and Brian Westbrook. So, he's on a good pace there. But outside of this, Purdy came in. Obviously, there's a lot of issues with quarterback with the 49ers. You had their top 2 quarterbacks knocked out early on in the season. Now they're on to Purdy. And, for Mr. Irrelevant, he played pretty decent, given the fact that, you never know what you're getting with your third string quarterback. Purdy gang, hashtag, there you go, McDuggets. But came in, he managed the game. He's in an offense with Kyle Shanahan that I think can really put together a game plan to help him succeed, whether or not that's going to be, effective moving forward without Deebo Samuel, I think is a big question because Deebo's going to be out for quite a bit of time. And that's a big piece of that offense. That's a big piece of what they do. So, they still have other weapons, but that's a hit for San Francisco. They're going to lean on McCaffrey moving forward. They're going to lean on, a lot of the weapons that they've put together. Ayuk is going to start getting bigger, more, drawing more attention. So, yeah, I think this is, I think the 49ers are the better team in this matchup. The Bucs are old. They're injured. They're not as good. The Niners have one of the best rosters outside of the quarterback position. They have one of the best rosters in the NFL, but injuries have really started pushing them to this point. Honestly, I think the Deebo injury is more impactful than the quarterback injury. But I'm not saying, Purdy's the guy to move forward, to get him to a Super Bowl, but he can, with this offense and this talented team, can get him and manage a game. The way he was throwing the ball a little bit today, I felt like it was enough as a game manager to get them to at least an NFC Championship game, given this roster. But I'm more concerned about the Debo. When that happened, I'm a little bit more concerned there.
And to be honest, I didn't see a lot of this game outside of highlights with like the 2 touchdowns he threw weren't even in my mind good throws, but his numbers were good. Brock Purdy's numbers were perfectly fine. They didn't ask him to throw a ton, but they were also up a ton at halftime, so why would you?
Yeah.
We'll see what happens. Do I think this team can win a Super Bowl with Brock Purdy? I do not. Sorry. I don't. But they're playing good football right now. We'll see what the injury situation is with Debo. That's going to affect them some, obviously, quite a bit as well. I don't know. And for the Bucs, they still lead their division somehow with a losing record. I think they're 6-7, leading the NFC South because no one wants to win the NFC South. We'll see what happens with them, but they seem very broken. They had no business beating the Saints on Monday night last week. They got very, very fortunate to do so. Debo's out 3 to 6 weeks. Yeah, it's a high ankle at minimum, which is at minimum 4, if not closer to 6 weeks. So we'll see. He's out for the rest of the regular season. In my mind, I don't think we see Debo. Hopefully, I want him to be back for the playoffs. He's an elite player, and let's watch him see what he can do. But
now,
as impressive as the 49ers were this week, I don't know if it matters.
I mean, I guess my thing is if you were to tell me that a third string quarterback would go against a Tampa Bay, and I know Tampa Bay is not what they typically are either, but if you were to tell me that San Francisco would be going into this game with a third string quarterback, no Debo for most of the game, and they would carve themselves out a 35 dominant win, 35-7 over the Bucs, given the what the Bucs are, and they're still not, they're fine, but they're not. I would have been like, that would be pretty impressive to me. That's coaching. Oh, hey, I think coaching matters in this league, Scotty. Coaching.
How many points?
At least 4 or 5 if you're good against a bad, right? But 35-7 is pretty dominant with the third string quarterback, and putting together a game plan and being able to have the third string quarterback execute is kind of a big deal. So I'm with you though. Do I think they can? Purdy's going to win a Super Bowl? No. Do I think that they can get to a point where they're competing for a Super Bowl in the NFC? Yes. And I think that they're a really good roster still. Debo scares me. We made it. Oh, geez, we made it through. Marathon. We got through all of these wrap-ups. Let's go to our best bets of the week. I got to adjust this. I'm going to bring up the actual graphic because you did get the Broncos one right. So give me 1 second while I update that one. Scotty, run through yours.
I'm looking great. I took the Bengals, everyone who's hating on my comment on the Bengals. I took the Bengals -6. The cover winning by 13. Jacksonville +4 wins easily outright against the Titans. Baltimore, I get a +8.5 and a teaser. They win outright against the Steelers. Denver was the one I didn't think I was going to hit on when they were down 27, but they come back, only lose by 6. So I hit that red one that is actually green. I'm 3.5-0, just waiting on Arizona tomorrow night to not lose by more than a touchdown against a New England team that doesn't have an offense that is prolific by any means. So my biggest regret is, and I made a bet on another one today where instead of Arizona, I took Baltimore and Philly in a teaser, and Philly down to -1, and that obviously hit for me. But either way, I'm hoping to go 4-0 tomorrow. You can talk about yours now, Chris.
Yeah, 4-0. I'm getting the graphic updated here as we speak. I gotta actually update your total here, so it's 21 and 34. There we go. Meanwhile, Miami lost, so that's red for me. They just didn't show up tonight. So I mean, the best I could do is Arizona winning tomorrow, which I do feel comfortable in. Do I think I don't feel as comfortable as I did, as I would with a teaser. I know the teaser's out there, and I know it's an attractive way to go, and I love your teaser bet. I just think this is a tough space for just New England to win outright. So with that being said, I feel good about Arizona getting the win tomorrow. I know it's Kyler. I know it's could be kind of a question, but let me go ahead. I'll update this. I just think I feel good about Arizona tomorrow.
Let's go.
So there we go. Let's update that. All right, there it is. So I need some help. I need to go get at least one win this week. I gotta avoid that 0-4 week. But hey, either way, we look at our record, Scotty. We each got. We're still good. We're still looking fantastic on the season. So I can't throw anything at that. Purdy again. Let's see. Purdy and Jimmy G both capable. Todd Bowles is dragging his team down. Downgrade from Arians to Bowles, probably around 7 points. Have a great morning. Yeah, everyone who left, thank you so much for being a part of the stream. I know everyone's kind of dipping out little by little, so thank you for being a part of it. Hot take: Pickett is currently a top 20 quarterback. As long as his development doesn't stall next season, he will be a solid starter, says Rec. Hey,
probably not top 20, but next year probably will be.
We'll do it. Yeah, I think next year he takes